Hi. Astrology and astronomy are both very fascinating subjects. One of them is called the science, and one of them is called the pseudoscience. However, the pseudoscience is not a pseudoscience. It is an interpretation of the mathematics of the reality of our world and the cosmology around us. It is an interpretation of the scientific fact of astronomy. And the reason why it resonates with so many people, it's because it provides a translation of what the different planetary alignments deposit into each human being at the exact time that they are born, based on the fact that humans can be conduits of energy. And if the sun, if the sun can give you energy, right, through ultraviolet radiation, and you receive that energy and you synthesize it into vitamin D, for example, why would you assume that the rest of the planets also don't give you electromagnetic waves of energy that help code within your DNA, which is a receiving spiral of energy, to code who you are as a human being? I know. Sit with it for a minute. Each individual person has a unique mathematical foundation, because we can all come to agreements that science and math go hand in hand. And the biology itself is a science. So the biology of humanity has to be tied to a mathematical equation. So what if I told you that your soul is your own unique mathematical equation as influenced by the planetary alignments when you were alive? And so, because of that, that is how you resonate with certain things. Here's an example. I'm a Libra. I'm October 2nd. Libras are known for justice. Who else is a Libra? Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, AOC. But we're not born the same day, right? There's 365 days to the year, the current year we're using. Other civilizations used other years, other types of counting, and we talked about that in the first video, right? The trecenas, the 13. People found mathematical patterns in nature to translate and try to translate in their own different types of systems how these mathematical equations allowed them to thrive and live. But what I'm telling you is that astronomy and astrology are not one against the other. It's the yin and the yang of a whole. And history is going to back me up. So let's talk about number one. We're going to take astrology, as an interpretation of astronomy. In the astrology, there are 12 signs in tropical astrology. Now, I know there's Vedic astrology, there's astrology everywhere, but I'm using the Western interpretation of it so then you can look at the other systems and interpret the same things. But they will all net out to the same type of thing. For example, my tonali, I'm grass. I cut, I'm reborn, I reframe. You cannot destroy me. A Libra, I seek truth, I seek justice, I seek balance. But my own mathematical soul footprint, my own blueprint, that one matches a lot of really interesting people. And we're going to talk about those people. And the reason why I'm putting this date down specifically is because you're going to know one or two of the people that I'm going to talk about. And we think about it as coincidences, and they are, right? You could call it a coincidence to be born on the same exact day as other historical figures. But theoretically, the signs, the 12 signs in the astrology encompass a specific number of days. It's usually like about, 28 days, whatever, lunations. Doesn't matter. What matters is there's one of 12 archetypes that are then named after constellations in the sky that happen to be close to the sun or mirrored by the sun in the same degrees in the sky. So it's the mathematical alignment of those planets with the sun that give you your astrological archetype. But within that same spectrum, one of 12, there are going to be 30 different derivatives of that archetype. based on your actual birth date. And even then, sometimes to the hour, certain planets move hourly or every 2 hours. They're at a different degree in the sky, which is going to affect the electromagnetic transmission from that planet at the time of your birth. I know. It's gonna make sense. Because history supports it. Every time where the planets are right now, it's the fall of Mesopotamia and it's the fall of Rome. But the things that were variable were certain other planets and certain other times. And we're going to talk about those times. We're going to have this historical context on the next video. So take the time to look up your birthday right now. And then look up how many people in history share your birthday. And it's going to fascinate you to see how much you resonate with those people. I'm telling you, it's insane. We're going to win. Not because we're smart enough, or we're organized perfectly, or because we're all strong enough to defeat the system. That is evident. We win because the source code has already been embedded in us. This isn't a hope video. This is not a prediction. This is mathematics. This is the raw math of your existence. And I'm going to show you that proof. By now, I hope you already watched the video I put down earlier, because that explains how mathematics has guided all of our civilizations. And I want to now share with you how you're going to be able to decipher your own unique source code and how you fit into the greater good. As I discussed previously, there's 12 astrological signs, right? 12 positionings of planets with the sun that give you whatever tropical astrology tells you are. Vedic astrology is different planetary interpretations. All of these different systems of counting the phenomena in nature that we discussed in that first video amount to kind of the same theory. They're interpretations of the divine mathematics of existence. Right now, there's 20 billion people that share your birthday. Your birthday in the world. There's 365 days in the year. So if you deploy, there's 7.1 billion of us or whatever, you do the math, right? There's about 20 million people that share your unique birthday. What changes is the time of your birth and where the planets were when you were born. Like I mentioned before, the sun gives you rays. And because you have those rays, it tells you on this day, at this time, this is where the planets were aligned. But the part that nobody's telling us, or the part that I figured out, is that we're getting electromagnetic coding from the planets coming down to help us become who we are. In other words, the electromagnetic waves create the mathematical equations that become the soul. And your soul is not a part separate from your being, quite the opposite. Your physical being, the three-dimensional rendering of who you are, is a manifestation of the sacred mathematic origin of your soul, which is the same across millennia, and it keeps regenerating. Your soul is made of math, and that math is sacred. Their eternal equations are going to express themselves to space, time, and matter. Your soul is your unique mathematical equation based on the time of your birth, the positions of the planets, and to a certain degree who you came from your parents, because so is their soul, right? They're also a mathematical manifestation of the same. Your birth chart, what it actually is an electromagnetic and gravitational signature of your soul's mathematics settling into this third dimensional being in this prison planet or planet you call Earth. So sit with that. Your sun sign, your moon, your rising, these are not like personality traits or things like that. These are mathematical frequencies that come from those planetary waves in you. They're the they're the constants, and your surroundings, your environment, your trauma, everything that's being created around you by the powers that be, those are the variables in your equation that are going to see if you succeed or do not succeed. Okay? In the next video, I'm going to talk a lot about how I came to this conclusion personally. So my birthday is October 2nd. I was born in LA at 10:54 in the morning. I'm a Libra sun, a Saturn exalted in Libra, Uranus in Scorpio, and Neptune in Sagittarius. That's not bubblygook. That's a mathematical signature. Justice-seeking, revolutionary truth revealer. That's who I am. People often tell me, oh, I felt your energy. I feel your presence. You have power. These are things that have been told to me over the past year. And I'm like, no, I just, I'm whatever. But now that I really think about it, it's only their souls, who they are, recognizing the energy frequencies that I emanate through my sacred mathematical equation. Because we've all been here before. Maybe not in this shell, but we gotta remember, we are all matter, and matter is energy down at the molecular level. So when you pass on, this physical matter disintegrates, but the essence of who you are, your soul, or your wavelengths of energy that were deposited to you when you were born by the planetary alignments, go back out into the ether, and eventually may reincarnate or regenerate through another soul, or they might go into whatever, that's what they call a soul mission. All of these different things are just language that was used by different civilizations to talk about the mathematical equation of being and how we got here. So I'm not learning wisdom. My equation is the wisdom expressing itself. I went and sought this out because I was mathematically coded in my life to do so. So this wasn't an accident. We all have a purpose, right? People sometimes describe to having a purpose, having a mission, having this, having that. Guys, it's the mathematical equation of your being that was predetermined when the exact moment you were born. And I'm going to show you all of this by using Newtonian physics. Okay? And other things in science. Yin and yang, as far as all of this, the golden rule, all of this is going to tie into it. And it's really, really interesting stuff. So the first we're going to talk about is the 1 over 365 principle, which is what I was telling you. 20 million people are born on the earth every day. That's 1/3, 365th of the global population. That's the same 20 million people born under the same sun sign, the same base frequency of that day. The only thing that changes is where they're born in that day, as the planet does its 24-hour movement. So if you were born on today, you share the fundamental frequency with 19,999,999 other people that are going to be born or were born at midnight tonight till midnight tomorrow. For tomorrow. All it's gonna change is the planetary area, meaning where those beings were born and how the suns were aligned in that space. If you were born at 3:47 a.m. in Tokyo versus 8:23 p.m. in Buenos Aires, the moon moves. Mercury angle shifted. Venus was somewhere else, so was Jupiter's. Each celestial body moved across a 24-hour spin of the Earth, right? Because the Earth is going to do its thing on its axis. It's going to go around for 24 hours to create a unique electromagnetic imprint, the exact moment of the birth of that being. So that's the birth chart. That's your individual soul equation. You could say that's the root mathematical expression of you. It's going to have the same mathematical base as those other 20 million people. But your specific combination of planetary angles at the exact moment you were born, it is just your soul footprint. It's your blueprint. It is your divine mathematic component that created your soul according to source, God, however you want to call that divine power that comes. That's yours. It's like how every human, we share unique DNA. It's like the form of the DNA, the chains of the amino acids that create DNA and all of that. That's the same for everybody as far as the structure, which is the equation. But the actual components of the DNA that decide what each of us look like is the same as the planetary alignments that give us the energy frequency waves to develop our personalities, our missions in life, our thought patterns, everything. So it's just, cooking. Okay? So within that variation, that's how we break into that astrological stuff. So that's the next video. So the population is going to break into mathematical frequencies. Like I was telling you before, 112 is a compliance code. It's structured to follow, obey authority. There's 12 signs in the zodiac. So we're going to call those 12 signs 12 sections of our population. And so based on the traits of those people, 1/12 of the population right now, let's say in the United States, give or take, 1/12, there's 360 million people, okay? So 12 million people, wait, no. 360 divided by 12, yeah, 3 times 12, 360, yeah. So 3 million people, notice how I said 30 million people, right? Because it's 360, so 3 times 12, 36, I'm confused. But the point is, 1/12 of the United States population is compliance coded. That's your MAGA. That's the people that are in power right now that demand to be colonizers, that demand white supremacy. It's only 1/12 of the population. Now, within that 1/12 of the population, there is a range of obedience. And slowly but surely, some of them will not conform either, because something's going to click with them that says, this isn't it. But the other 11/12 of the population, the rest of us, we're coded to resist that. We're not going to go down like that. We're instructed to question, to innovate, to transform. This is not something we're learning. This is something that's encoded with us. It's our mathematical nature to question these things. And this is why, mathematically speaking, the current government systems and the current people in power are not going to be able to sustain what they're trying to do. 1/12 cannot mathematically govern 11/12 unless we allow it. That's why they created governments. That's why you have a House of Representatives, a Senate, all of that. Supposedly, the House of Representatives is supposed to represent the other 11/12 of the population, or whatever, right? It's broken down into people, but it's obviously not working. But that's by design. That's so they can maintain control. So the mathematics of existence are not gonna allow 11/12 of the population to be controlled by 1/12 when we all know that we're gonna question it. We're gonna go. So what are they trying to do now? They're trying to suppress their resistance by everything they're trying to pass. They're trying to scare people into compliance. They're trying to convince you that we don't have power. But you can't reprogram mathematics. Math doesn't lie. You can't say 2 plus 2 equals 5. 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4 here and in Timbuktu. It doesn't matter. So the mathematics are going to demand a balance to the structure, because right now it's skewed too far into evil. And we're all waking up. And more people are starting to wake up. Now you're starting to see more people on the right are like, wait a minute, this isn't correct. What are we doing? What are we doing? That's why. The system is collapsing right now because the mathematics cannot support the system. They cannot support the status quo. And they know that. That's why they're panicking. That's why they're trying to create more chaos, more war, more everything, because they don't want to give up control. But they already know their time is up. There's no getting out of this. They cannot win. It is mathematically impossible. So how can we prove this mathematically? Well, through history. Look at a cycle of years of 3,126 year cycle from this point in history back. That's 1900 BCE. The midpoint would be 63 BCE, and then we're in 2026 CE. So 1900 before Christ, 63 Anno Domini or AD after Christ, and 2026 AD. It's going to show you, we're gonna talk about the same pattern across continents without coordination, without historical documentation that these civilizations had gone with each other, but yet experiencing some of the same shit we're experiencing right now. And you're gonna see that the cycle is executing right now, regardless of how much understanding each person has regarding the cycle. Because the system that created this world, this planet, this universe knows it's happening, and you can't stop it. The intelligence agencies, the people governing us, all of those, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, the cabals, all that, they looked at the math, they looked at this, and they've been trying to hide this for hundreds of years. But our ancestors knew it in different ways, in different tones, and expressed it in different manners, because some of them didn't have the same languages that we have, they didn't have the same counting methods we had, but none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered was that the math didn't lie, and that the math explained the reasoning why certain things happen and why we're here, which is why it was really important that you watch that first video so you understand this context, okay? So in 3926, there was the fall of Babylon and all of this other stuff that happened, in Mesopotamia. In 63 BCE is the fall of Rome, the fall of Nero, all of that stuff. That's all happening then, and it's going to relate to what we're living right now. And then I'm also going to give you some examples of how it related to me or how I related to myself. So we know that mathematics are eternal. They're not just physical. That's the soul. Okay? And we have now spoken about that your birth chart is the electromagnetic signature of soul into matter. So your soul became you as a person based on the planetary alignments the day that you were born and what those planets emanated in energy to help program you. Because when a baby is born, one could say it's like a computer without programming. It has an operating system, right? You can run it on Windows, on Linux, or Apple. That's the operating system. That's the things the computer is going to do regardless of what other programs you put into it. That's going to be your ability to breathe, the ability for your heart to beat, the ability for you to intuitively seek to be fed and cry for feeding, and the fact that your body learns to poop when you're a baby. A baby is like a computer with a basic operating system and no programming. The programming, the encoding, is going to come from the planetary alignment, and then it's also going to come from the environment that you're in, the situation that you're born into, and all of that is going to manifest into who you become as a person in the future. Okay? So we have to be victorious because it's encoded in a mathematical precedence. All right, so now let's go back to me as an example. I was born October 2nd, 1980. Now, I went and did some research, not just on people, but on important events that have happened in that day. Okay? On October 2nd, 1737, Hopkinson was a symbol creator. Who was Hopkinson? He is a person that signed the Declaration. Thomas Hopkinson was a person that signed the Declaration of Independence. He was one of the designers of the flag, and he was a person that was also working on other things within the foundation of this country's government. He was a liberator. On October 2nd, 1800, Nat Turner was born. You guys know who Nat Turner is, right? He literally led enslaved people in the rebellion known as Turner's Rebellion. Okay? He was a liberator. He fought back. He didn't take shit lying down. Sound like somebody you know? Sounds like somebody you've heard screaming? October 2nd, 1861, the Civil War liberation. There was a military strategy. There was a battle that happened on October 2nd, 1861 to help liberate enslaved people. October 2nd, 1869, Muhammad Gandhi was born, who led the biggest peaceful resistance movement that we know historically in India when they liberated themselves from the British. October 2nd, 1890, Groucho Marx was born, and Groucho Marx is known for using satire to help us expand our minds and liberate our trains of thought and move from certain social constructs that we were built in. October 2nd, 1908, Thurgood Marshall was born. Do you know who Thurgood Marshall is? That's right. That's right. What did he do? Ford versus Brown of Education, right? He litigated that, and then he became a Supreme Court justice. Segregation in schools, Thurgood Marshall. Yes, it started in Westminster with a Latino family and a Mexican-American girl, absolutely. But Thurgood Marshall took that case and then pivoted to the Supreme Court with Brown versus Board of Education, and desegregation happened. On October 2nd, 1968, what happened? A massacre in Tlatelolco, Mexico, where all of these college students were killed, and the government first said it was just 3, then 37. Turns out it was over 700 students. To this day in Mexico, el 2 de octubre no se olvida. You don't forget October 2nd. Why? Because that's when the people started pushing back against el PRI. In the 60s, that's when they started pushing back. During those movements, that's when AMLO started pushing back. That's when the revolutionaries in Mexico started pushing back. So that was that horrible catastrophe was the foundation for movements like el Movimiento de los Zapatistas, all of this stuff in Mexico, all of these revolutions in Mexico to start standing up. The foundations for that happened because of the massacre in Tlatelolco. And on October 2nd, 1980, I was born. Same mission, different methods, but it's the 365th principle in action. All of these things happened on October 2nd. So what's happening now? The system is going to collapse because 112, and within that 112, 1 or 2, right? Some of those people that have chosen their environments to create this dystopian cannot sustain 11/12 of the rest of us fighting back. Once you realize this, and you are no longer afraid of them or what they can do, once you understand that even if they kill us physically in this current reality, we're going to reconvene and our energy is going to come back in another way and keep going with its mission. Once you understand that, once you lose that fear, they lose. Because once they see that we're not afraid to fight back by any means necessary, it's over. And that means disconnecting from everything they're trying to use to manipulate us. The comfort shopping, the Amazon packages, all of the stuff that they say we need to survive and live is a lie. We don't need any of it. All we need is food, water, air. And that's why right now they're buying up all the farmland. That's why right now they're building all of these data centers, controlling the water, controlling everything. Why? Because they're trying to send us into destabilization and chaos to keep us in fight or flight, so we cannot think clearly and go, wait a minute, I don't need any of your bullshit. I don't need your actual forms of government. I don't need your governance to live. I do not consent to being governed by you, oppressive system of power to survive. I do not recognize you. The moment the majority of us say that, there is no government. They have no power. And I'm sure you're thinking, oh, well, they've got the guns, they've got this, they've got that. Yeah, but you know who runs those? Your children. You're going to tell me your child who's in the military is going to take a gun and shoot you? No, that's why they're trying to bring the IDF. But you've seen in the news, even some of those IDF soldiers are starting to put down their guns. Because there's more of us than them. So we have to remember that we cannot be afraid of something that is inevitable. Are we all going to die? Yes, that is inevitable in the third dimension. Our body will eventually give out. How we die, the circumstances of our death, those are the variables based on our environment. But our blueprint of who we are as people happened the day we were born, because we have certain characteristics that are embedded into our DNA, into our molecular structure, based on the sacred mathematics of being. And the moment you understand that, you cannot be afraid, because you're going to execute what you're going to execute regardless if the system lets you or not. I'm going to lead my people into wherever they want me to lead them to, because the people want me to lead them to it. It doesn't matter if I'm the mayor or not. It doesn't matter if I'm president or not. It doesn't matter. I'm going to fulfill my mission because I know what my mission is. I understand what I'm coded for. I'm coded to liberate. I'm coded to revolutionize, and I will. So what I'm trying to tell you is you have to wake up to your code, okay? And once you realize that, you start to understand that science, physics, the golden rule, dogma, religion, it's all a retelling, it's all a reframing of everything that is known through the mathematics of existence. So Newton's third law of physics, what does it say? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you punch somebody in the face, that person might get mad and punch you, or that person may fall and be knocked out, depending on the force of your punch. You making contact is a punch. The only variable is going to be what? The rate of velocity and the strength behind the punch, which would decide if that person is able to fight you back and punch you back, or is knocked the fuck out. Right? Action and reaction. The yin and yang, the balance. Balance, right? Darkness and lightness have to be a balance. The source, the force. It's the same like Star Wars, right? There's the power of the Force. There's the Sith and the Jedi. Same shit, same story. Black, yin and yang, balance. There has to be a balance in the Force. There has to be a balance in the world. And right now we are unbalanced. And the 112 or the 1% or whomever they think they are unbalancing our world. It is mathematically impossible to sustain. The golden rule. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you. That's the same tenet of Buddhism. It's the same tenet technically that's the tenet of all the commandments. You know, do unto others as you will have them do unto you. Be nice to people, people are nice to you. Be a dick, people are going to be a dick to you. Lie about people, the people that you're lying about are going to call you out on your bullshit. Right? Cheat on your wife's going to leave you. She's going to hate you. She might give you a tea and kill you. You know, people do crazy things. For every action, there's this equal and opposite reaction. You do something to someone, that person is going to do something to you. So if you want people to be good to you, you be good to them. The moment where the government is treating you like shit, what makes you think 11/12 of the rest of the population is going to be okay with it. No, it's a ticking time bomb. There's pressure building, right? So when you say as above, so below, everything that happens in the sky is reinterpreted through the electromagnetic waves here in the planet based on the mathematical equation of each soul and those electromagnetic waves of information that were coded into us at the time of our birth and what's coded up into the sky today now. And if you're open to receiving that code and taking that energy and synthesizing into something positive, you will. And that is how we win. By not allowing their fear and their stupid scare tactics and their stupid bullshit and their stupid government and their stupid rules to dictate who we are as people. Do not let them change who we are in our core, and wake up to who you truly are as a person based on your geological coding, because it's based on where you were born, on the planetary alignments of who you are as a person, on your sacred mathematical equation. Truth will set you free. Everybody says that the truth will set you free. Truth is protected. Of course, you can only sustain a lie for so long, because the more that you expand on it, the more that you add to the lie, eventually you will lose the narrative, and then full circle truth, right? It's like a circle. You know how you have a protractor and it's 180? 180 degrees is half a circle per tractor. So, right? You go from one quadrant to the other quadrant. But when you have a full circle, it's 360 degrees. So if you start a lie if truth is 0 and a full lie is 180, but you keep building on that lie, you're going to get eventually to what? Add another 90 degrees. Okay, 270. And then you go back at 360. You complete the circle, you complete the loop, you go back to the truth. You cannot sustain a lie indefinitely. It'll eventually circle back. So lies are entropy, and eventually they will collapse. The distortions will fill automatically because they cannot be sustained. Your job is to speak truth, to live truthful to who you are, and to continue to be in truth. The mathematics will handle what happens to the lies and dismantle the systems of oppression as long as you continue to be truthful to the mission and to yourself. The system can try to suppress the voices. The system can try to kill us all, whatever. They can mathematically impossible to do that. Are you going to let them? Do you want them to kill you? What is there to fear? If we're going to die anyway, why not fight trying to make sure that it doesn't happen? We're coded to survive. We're going to win. There's no mathematical probability where this fascist government continues to exist. There's no mathematical probability where this evil controls us all. It has continued, and it has gotten this bad because we have allowed it to, because we have been made sedentary and made unreactive due to the complacency of our lives and the bullshit that they fed us when they came and they colonized us and told us that what we knew that was ingrained in our genetic makeup was incorrect. When we knew that the patterns told a different story. When they came and sold us their stories, not just of religion, but of what they considered the correct way of living. And when you realize that all of that was bullshit and it's all lies, and that you know your truth deep within you because you know who you are as a person and you live your life within your truth, guess what? That shit doesn't affect you. And you stop needing and wanting validation, because you don't need validation of anybody to survive. And you stop needing and wanting things because you don't need them to survive. You only want what you need to survive. You cannot fill empty holes with money, fame, and fortune if you're not happy and in tune and in harmony with who you are as a person. But because they obscured that from you, you're seeking these dopamine seeking behaviors, these things to make yourself feel better. You're acting out, you're being stupid, angry, you're harassing people to validate the reasoning behind why you matter, why you exist, because you're seeking validation from others in order to feel fulfillment within yourself. And that is the trap. You have to seek fulfillment within yourself. You have to be happy with who you are. You have to be in full understanding of who you are, what your mathematical imprint is, what your mission is, and live within the confines of that equation, and then expand on them into who you want your reality to be. Manifestation is not just saying something out and it happens. Manifestation is being in tune with who you are as a person, with your being, and then saying, these are the tools that I have within my person to what? get what I desire. But at the end of it, all we all truly desire is to be happy and to be joyful and to be peaceful. Anything else that you need, expensive purses, shoes, things to survive, is a lie. It is a social construct. It is made up by people who want to use the energy that you are invested in consuming, what they're putting out, in order to control and manipulate you. Because at the end of the day, we are all beings of energy. And without our energy, they cannot thrive, they cannot survive. So right now, we are all here encoded in this moment. This is not a mistake. Every single being that is in this planet was coded to be here. And we will be free when you decide how you're going to activate your code based on your environment around you. So manifestation, again, is only remembering the source code and speaking it into existence. You have your soul equation. It's eternal. It wasn't created in this specific moment that you were born. It just keeps regenerating on the days that you're born based on the original mathematical equation that came. The birth is when the soul enters matter. So when two people converge, two souls converge to create another soul or another person, that mathematical blueprint goes into that soul. It's just energy with energy colliding and creating a new what? Atomic structure, a new physical manifestation of that energy colliding. You ever had an orgasm? That's why they call it the little death. Because you die a little to give some of your life source into a new being. The only way you create life in the womb is by having the second part. And when you reach that point, and if all the variables are accurate, your peak ovulation, whatever you create, what? Life. So we're going to win regardless, because the people will choose the leaders that they want to lead them into the Renaissance, into the revolution. Our victory is encoded mathematically. They cannot win. That's why when they're talking about, oh, Project Looking Glass, they've seen all the outcomes. They always lose. They're trying to change the outcomes. They're panicking. They're doing this. They created Iran, Iraq, all this other stuff they're creating. This is all the noise they're doing to keep you in fight or flight and scared and in fear. The moment you realize that they're not going to win, yes, people are going to die. Yes, the people have died. People will continue to die. That's inevitable. Death is a part of life. The circumstances in which they're dying is what's angering us, because it wasn't because they were reaching the end of their natural life. They were robbed of that life by ice, by shootings, by murder, by war. Absolutely. So the only ones that can refuse to comply with the orders given of putting our kids in the military or taking us is us. They don't have enough people in the military and have guns to kill us all. It's mathematically improbable. They cannot take us all out. And they cannot use an atomic weapon, because if they do, they take themselves out. Remember, they're building their little underground bunkers. What they're trying to do is scare us into this scarcity mentality to ensure that they get what they want. Are you going to let them get what they want? Or are you going to stand up and say, fuck that, and quit? So when people are talking about the strike, when people are talking about just disengage, people talk about building community, that's what it means. It means be present in your moment with your family, with the people you love, and build on that. Don't go to McDonald's. I went to get chilaquiles from someone else here that was making them this morning. They're delicious. I'll post the pictures later. The point is, we make our own bartering, our own economies, our own new civilization, and we leave them behind. What are they going to do? Get mad? They're going to beat us into participating in their government structure and their capitalist society? If no one votes for mayor of LA and there's not one vote cast, who wins? I'm just giving you an example. Right? If no one would to cast a vote for the mayoral race, we would have no mayor. We destabilize the government. Refusal to participate in the contest, right? Based on their own rules, they can't have new leadership because it wasn't elected. I'm just giving it to you as an example. The only reason this works is because you choose to participate. So the choice is yours. Do you want to be free? Do you want to live in happiness? Do you want to live in joy? Or do you want to submit to their plan? That's your choice. I already know what I'm going to do. Am I voting in this election? No. Because I've already proven to you it doesn't work. And I'm going to continue to prove it to you. Okay? I requested that CPRA thing. And the county never sent me the results at the precinct level. Why? Because they lied. But now I'm going to request it again. And then I'm going to tell the judge in my current court case, this is what I'm requesting, and the county's not giving me this. I'm going to have to open up a second lawsuit, and I'm going to keep using their own systems to push them to tell the truth. This isn't about winning a race. This isn't about being mayor. This is about proving to you that the systems are designed to fail because they have gone all the way around the circle. At one point, they were good to serve the purpose, but at this point, because they were flawed from the beginning, because they were made out of a patriarchal mindset that doesn't align with the fact of equality, they were doomed to fail. And the fucking fall of our civilization is reflecting that. Look at the history. I gave you the dates. Okay? I need you to go look it up. Go look up the dates, and you will see. You will see. Go to 63 BCE. Go look at the dates that I gave you. And you'll see that's how we win. We have to win. Because it's already encrypted there. It's already put there. We win because it's mathematically impossible for them to win. There is no probability in them being able to sustain this long term. And the moment you understand that, the moment you see that, the moment you feel that, you stop being afraid. The only ones that can come and impact our humanity are all of us incongruents. Every single thing they've put out there, race, social class, money, it's all made up by them. It's their systems used to control us, their religions, the ways of thinking. It's just forms of control. And the moment you refuse to participate in them, that's when you start to win. The moment you're shown that you're fearless, it's over. That's how you win.